a pole and caused $13,000 in damage to my F-150. I am a moron. What happened was I was leaving for the day. There's a pole at the end of the warehouse where I have to drive around to exit said warehouse. Smashed right into it. But it got me thinking, what does my crashed up F-150 say about me? There's all types of guys driving all types of cars, whether you got a jacked up Cummins turbo diesel or you're driving your grandpa's old S10. Every truck says something about the driver. Some guys like going off-roading with their truck. Some guys like cruising down the back road to an FGL song. Not necessarily what I'm gonna do, but to each their own. Each truck has its own identity, and so do you. Today, I have gathered 8 different trucks, and we're gonna find out what each one says about you. First up is the Toyota Tacoma, AKA the Taco. Toyota first started making the Tacoma back in 1995, and it replaced their older model, the Hilux. These things started selling like hotcakes right out of the gate. It's a mid-sized truck that's kind of known for being indestructible. Knowing that, you're probably thinking, wow, these guys are ripping around off-roading, going mudding with these bad boys. No. If you drive a Tacoma, you're probably just using it to go get groceries. And also, weirdly, you do extreme sports. Tacoma is kind of a weird split personality. You either drive around Denver, Colorado with your beanie on, getting groceries and chai lattes, or you love drinking Rockstars and Monsters, dirt biking, mountain biking. You got a rack on it with the jerry cans and a rooftop tent, and you love the outdoors. And in there, you also love reliability. These things can go forever. Personally, I fall in neither of these categories. I don't do extreme sports because I am from North Dakota. And on the other hand, I need a truck that I'm not just getting groceries with. I like to do some projects, doing stuff at the lake with it, going hunting. I need something that's a little more than just a grocery getter. So for that reason, I'm out on this one. But if you do have a Tacoma, you probably are just drinking chai lattes, getting groceries, or risking your life down a mountain. Next up's the Chevy Avalanche. And I think that Chevy might have been on drugs when they made this thing. Because if you really look at it, the Chevy Avalanche is just a Chevy Suburban with the back chopped off. I know what you're thinking. Truck, Suburban, best of both worlds could be great. Well, the Chevy Suburban's got the third row. A truck's got a long bed you can haul stuff with. Chevy Avalanche doesn't have a third row, and it has a really short bed. So actually the worst of both worlds. And when this thing came out, it actually was very popular. I wouldn't say it was a midlife crisis truck, but there was definitely middle-aged guys that thought they were cool with the little triangle supports on the back bed. I just think guys who were buying these trucks in the 2000s were guys that wanted to be a truck guy, but they weren't doing truck guy stuff. And that's when these things were made. They were made from 2002 to 2013. That's who was driving these trucks. You fast forward to 2025, I think all the people that are driving a Chevy Avalanche now, probably drug dealers. I don't know why, but it just feels like a good truck to just deal drugs out of. Because it's got a hint of I'm trying to be cool, but you can get them for pretty cheap now because they're really old. And you're probably not a very good drug dealer, because if you were a good drug dealer, you would be buying a Cadillac Escalade. Would I buy one of these? If I fell on tough times, like, if all this goes away and I do have to start dealing drugs, I think it's a great option. Next up, we got the category of brand new trucks. I'm looping new Chevy Silverado, F-150s, Dodge Rams. I'm looping all those new trucks together. Because if you're driving a brand new truck, you're probably either a small business owner, you work in the oil field, or you're bad with money. Small business owners need a tax write-off. What a better way to do that than buying a Ford F-150 Platinum with AC seats and a giant monitor screen that is way bigger than anyone needs. You're rolling around in a Polo and some fancy aviator glasses. These trucks are built for people who got some extra cash laying around. Can't fault the guy for buying a new truck if he can afford it, but it's when you got the guys that can't afford it that are trying to flex on the new trucks where you run into issues. Talked about on our channel before, so if you want to check out the other video we did about buying a ship box, check it out. These trucks over time have went from being utility workhorses to being more of a comfort truck. The beds keep getting smaller, the cab's getting bigger. It's hard to argue that you are a rough and tough, redneck, blue-collar guy when you got massage seats in your truck. Not gonna lie, I fall into this category. Obviously, buying a new truck is sweet. I could afford it, and you know, being able to write it off on some taxes, pretty nice. I'm always looking for a good tax write-off because it's basically free money, right?
Yeah.
That's how taxes work.
It's free cash. Yeah.
Yeah, you buy a truck, null and void, doesn't matter.
It's free.
It's a free truck at this point. Like I've talked about on this channel before, I used to work concrete. I still do some projects, but I love AC seats. I'll say it here right now. I like keeping my nuts cool on a long drive. And I own a small business, so yeah. That's me. But if you can't afford it, then you should definitely get something else. It doesn't make sense to buy a new truck if you're not looking for some sort of write-off or have the disposable income to do it. And for the next one, we're gonna actually go deeper into this category, and if you drive a crashed F-150, you're probably a moron. Truck on our list, the Rivian. The Rivian is an interesting truck because they started in 2009 and they didn't really come onto the scene till like 2019. It took some investments from Amazon and Ford to really get them going. In the last few years, they've started popping up everywhere. One cool thing about the Rivian is they have what you call the skateboard chassis, which means that everything that propels this truck is all right there in the chassis, and everything built on top of it is just there for looks. You got a good amount of space in the bed, but you also got a frunk. You can put some junk in that frunk. Even saw a guy who's using it as a cooler. Kind of cool. Next thing is Yeti's gonna come out with their own truck, and it's gonna cost $400,000, and it's only going to have 2 seats, and the rest of it's gonna be a cooler. Sorry, ricochet shot on Yeti. Sorry, it's for another video. Obviously, it's an electric vehicle, so that puts it in kind of a weird category. You're probably someone who's a little bit more progressive. You're excited about the electric vehicles. And if you don't like electric vehicles, you are staying far, far, far away from this thing. Now, the type of person driving this car, you love finance, you love living in a city, you believe because you're driving a Rivian, you are the future. You represent colonizing the solar system. I don't know why, it's just that's the way it makes me feel. Probably because the front of this thing looks like something straight out of the movie WALL-E. Put that in the same category of, you know, Rivian front, and then also people who drive cars with eyelashes on the headlights. Wouldn't be surprised if a guy decided to put eyelashes on the Rivian. Just saying. I'll just throw it out there. I won't elaborate. What's really a big downside to Rivians is you gotta charge them, and I think they only got something like a 200-mile-ish range, which that's not very fun. If you're driving a Rivian, you're just not a guy with calluses on your hands. Nicest way I can put it. Next up, the shitbox. Now the shitbox trucks are probably made anywhere from 1981 to 1996, and this thing is not well kept. It's got rust, makes weird noises, engine doesn't run very good. It's kind of one of those deals where when you wake up and go into the garage, you're not parking in a garage. When you wake up, you stick the key in the ignition, you are playing roulette on whether that thing's gonna turn over or not. This thing's probably burning oil, the liner on the ceiling is falling down, you probably have exposed foam on your seat that just frays and gets everywhere inside the truck. You probably got one of those aux cords that's connected to a cassette tape that you put in and plug into your phone so you can listen to Spotify. And also, which I think is a nice touch, you probably have duct tape somewhere on the outside of the body of the truck. That's what kind of truck we're talking about when we talk about a shitbox. And what's kind of wild about the shitbox truck is it's probably the most diverse group of people that drive it. You have high schoolers, you have the crotchety old cheap grandpa that drives it, and you got everyone else in between. And some people just like the idea of driving a shitty truck, like we talked about in the other video. And there's probably someone who's just very financially conservative and what I would say even smart that drives this. I think most people have actually owned a shitbox at some point in their life. When you're thinking about what was my first truck, probably was a shitbox. If you drive a shitbox, you're signaling one of 3 things. This is either your first car, you are an old grandpa that's mailed it in, and you're a cheap ass, or you just don't make a lot of money and this is what you can afford. And to be honest, I think all 3 reasons are a pretty good reason towing a shitbox. Next, we have the jacked up truck. There's a lot to be said about the jacked up truck. We're talking a 12-inch lift kit, offset wheels, underglow, maybe a light bar on the top with a nice pipe out the back rolling coal. They are loud, they are gaudy, and for whatever reason, they always paint the front bumper to match the rest of the truck. It's hard to find a jacked up truck with a stock bumper on it. Just not gonna find it. This is truck nuts central. If you're gonna see a truck with nuts on it, it's gonna be a jacked up truck.
What kind of douchebag actually has nuts hanging from their truck? Oh, that's me.
These guys are the most picked on in the truck community in my mind. And a lot that's said is mostly not a lot. It's just usually one thing. And that is that you have a tiny penis. I don't love that. I imagine guys that like jacked up trucks also love the 4th of July because they love explosions, they love loud noises. And that's basically what their truck is. A loud explosion of tiny wieners. And if you're a guy with a jacked up truck, I also say, don't listen to the haters. If you love that truck, who cares what the rest of us on the internet say? If that truck brings you happiness, then I say jack that thing up even higher and roll some f***ing coal. I would not drive a jacked up truck. It's just, I'm a little too practical for it, you know? Plus, I don't want everyone to know that I have a tiny penis, you know? Like, I want people to find that out on their own. Next up, we have the square body, the restored and modified, the Resto Mod truck. These trucks were made anywhere from 1970 to 1985. And I'll just say it, I think these trucks are cool. This is about as modified of a truck as I would go. Maybe taking an old truck, putting a new engine in it, maybe giving a little bit of lift to it, new paint job. That's probably it for this guy. And actually, buddy I do videos with, Dude Dad, Mr. Taylor, he's got a square body Chevrolet. And I would never say this to his face, but I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of these trucks will come from the South. They don't got any rust on them, and all they need is really a tune-up and a paint job, and they're gonna be looking mint. A lot of times they'll come very bare bones, so it's a good structure to be able to build what you want. If you want to swap the engine and do stuff like that, it's a great blank canvas. The one thing that is a square body Resto Mod nightmare is if you get some rust on it. That is a Resto Mod's worst nightmare if you end up with a Resto Mod. Now, the type of guys that are driving these trucks are probably ones that have a nostalgia for the past. They appreciate things that were built well, that last a long time, but they also just value driving a cool car. And the best compliment a guy with a square body truck can get is an old grandpa coming up to him and go, hey, I used to drive one of these back in 1971. This thing looks like it's in pretty good shape. And then he kicks the tires. The jacked up truck guy is wanting to be cool. The square body Resto Mod guys actually are cool. I'm not a guy who wants a big car collection, but I do think it would be cool to have one of these in the garage because it just makes you feel like a cowboy. Every guy wants to feel like a cowboy, and I feel like this truck accomplishes that. And you got a wide range of guys. You got guys that will drive them that live in a big city. You got guys that wear a pearl snap shirt that are real cowboys. Could be anywhere in between, but if you drive one of these, in my mind, pretty cool guy. And I would love to have one. Next up, we have the 10-year-old truck. Picturing a 2014 Chevy Silverado that you bought, maybe new, you paid it off, and now you're gonna run this sucker right into the ground. This thing's probably stock, got 120,000 miles on it. You've taken good care of it. Why else would you need another truck? These things are new enough to where they have a lot of the updated features that we have today, but they're not brand new, so you're not paying an arm and a leg for all the extra bells and whistles like massage seats. It is financially practical. You paid it off. It's new enough to where you're not sinking a bunch of money into repairs. You're not jacking it up and putting underglow on it. You're just driving a truck because you need a truck, and it has everything you need. You're not gonna get too upset if you break something on this truck. You're just gonna fix it, move on, and try and keep it nice. And in my mind, the guys who are driving these 10-year-old trucks are just the most regular guys with the most regular trucks. I got 6 buddies who all got a truck like this, and they're just regular dudes driving regular trucks. And there's nothing wrong with being regular. In fact, being regular is great. You know, if you drive one of these trucks, you probably like a nice hot cup of black coffee. You might even be a little bit of a weekend warrior, doing your own projects. You know, if you're gonna put up a fence, you're digging the holes yourself. If you're putting up a deck, you better believe that you're gonna wrangle up all your other buddies with their regular 10-year-old trucks, and you guys are gonna knock that thing out in a weekend. If owning a square body resto mod is my fantasy, this is what my reality should be. And honestly, I think this is the route I'm gonna go down. Bought my truck new, it's a 2021, paid it off, and now I might just ride this sucker until I don't ride no more. And in about 6 years, my truck's gonna be a 10-year-old truck with 120,000 miles on it, hoping that the AC seats still work then. Please, God, please. The older I get, the more I start to see the value in not trading it in and getting a new truck, but just riding this sucker all the way through. Why do I need to spend more money on a new truck? And that being said, I think I'm actually weirdly a little excited to get my truck to be a 10-year-old truck. Kind of a vibe. Just a regular guy driving a regular truck. Would love to know what category you guys fit into and what category maybe you want to be in. And if we missed some categories, let me know. Maybe we'll do a part 2. Make sure you like and subscribe and send it to your buddy with a shit box. We'll see you in the next one.